spent countless hours in the garage with your dad. Now investing in that old car and working on it with your son reminds you of him. And his legacy lives on. Fund your passion with a low-interest home equity line of credit from Bank of Blue Valley.
Oh, where are you?
Oh, how are you doing?
It's getting really techie over there. You pop in now. You do all sorts of crazy things. Watch out with Hollywood. How are you?
Watch out, Hollywood. And so we got to know how long you've been growing out your hair. I mean, if any audience members want to chime in on how long they've been growing out their hair, I'm kind of intrigued.
Scott, I have been growing my hair out like this since I was a little girl. I don't know why all of a sudden. So you like hyper focus on things sometimes. It's my favorite part of you. But I haven't changed my hairstyle since at least you knew me, but probably for 40 years.
Do you wear it up or down, or do you feel like you switch it up
every day?
It looks very full.
Thank you. I don't know why. Maybe I washed it extra this week. I don't
know. I kind of cracked the code on why you've almost doubled your business in the last 4 months. You want to know what it is?
Yeah, tell me so I can redouble it.
Your partners of Bank of Blue Valley and Burns & McDonnell. That's what it is.
Okay, so I have to tell you something. The other day so my kids are big theater kids, right? And so we were like immersed in this theater department. And fair enough, I know a lot of the parents that bring the kids back and forth. So a lot more of the moms. But we were at some sort of, the kids were doing something. I think it was their acting class was doing something. And one of my daughter's little best friends, she goes over there and plays all the time. I really got to talk to her dad. And guess what I found out about him?
What?
He's on the marketing team at Burns & McDonnell.
Really?
Yes. And they are such a good family. That makes perfect sense because you get to work with Melissa and Carrie. And he's like, yes. I was like, this all makes sense. I just didn't know that beforehand. Isn't that awesome?
It is. We were almost had a Burns & McDonnell employee on, but he was in London. I was like, what? I was just playing poker with you on Saturday. How are you in London?
Are we going to talk about why I didn't get invited to the poker game? You're afraid I'm going to take your money?
That's right. Well, I didn't know you're open about how big of a poker shark you are.
I am pretty open about it. Hey, look, we've already got people jumping on here. Dan, first time watching live. I'm bald though. Dan, you know what? This means your privacy settings are on your picture. So take that off, sir. Good afternoon. I'm watching on LinkedIn. Hi, Joel. Okay, if you are watching, let us know who you are. Let us know if you're watching from Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. I'm ready to get to our panel. What do you think?
Yeah, keep an eye on Dan and what he does in the cannabis industry and what he does with influencers across the country.
I need him to fix his profile pic too.
Yeah, you got to look at his profile, but and then obviously Joel. But I wish we all started meetings of saying long-time listener, first-time caller. So we should introduce ourselves.
How often in meetings do you say, I just know enough to be dangerous? You're that guy, aren't you?
I speak in all metaphors, and my wife literally is like, what do you do all day? I don't think none of what you said makes any sense. And I'm like, hey, you could, never mind. I used a different metaphor from Tommy Boy, but either way, we'll get to the music.
All right. This is our amazing music. Oh, hold on. We got a couple more comments I'm going to pull up too. Dan's going to fix it. Thank you, Dan. Hey.
Hey, J-Man.
Jen? Is that what you said?
J-Man.
Okay, the beat threw me off. J-Man, hello. All right, let's get going. You guys don't want to just hear us talk all day. Ready? Music doesn't get any better than that. Susan! Raeanne! Henry! Welcome. I stayed off the music. You guys, it's pretty much like you're on the Oprah show right now.
Yeah.
How are you? Thank you guys so much for coming on. We're just going to dive right into it. We've already got a huge audience watching, so no pressure. Susan, who are you? What do you do? How do you get to Kansas City?
Hi, everyone. I'm Susan Belger Angulo. I am the development director at HappyBottoms, Kansas City's only diaper bank for families in need. How did I get to Kansas City? Born and raised in Kansas City. I have been in the philanthropy business for over 30 years, but I didn't choose philanthropy. Philanthropy chose me. And I say that because our family, my grandfather started a trucking company in the city in 1919. It's still family owned. We just celebrated our 100th anniversary in the city in 2019. We did everything nobody else wanted to do, anything overweight, over dimension. We had cranes, we did office moving, we had trash. We have 14 different locations throughout the country. Always thought I was going to be in the trucking company. That's what I studied at TCU, was business and marketing. And then my dad and his brother decided to sell the company. We basically had a leverage buyout from my youngest cousin on my uncle's side. And my father said, now go do something in the community that has been so good to our family. And I was in the junior league, was the president of the league in 98, 99, and worked volunteering with Union Station to continue to grow and to raise money to renovate the station, and had the opportunity to join their team in 99 to finish their capital campaign and open Science City. And kind of the rest is history with my philanthropic endeavors. Then from there, I was 18 years at the Children's Center for the Visually Impaired and had the chance to join the HappyBottoms team in August of 2019. So love what I do, love asking people for money. Really, it's not about asking for donations. It's connecting businesses and people to a cause. And so for HappyBottoms, we were founded in 2009. HappyBottoms, as I said, is dedicated to collaborating with the community to empower, connect, and impact low-income families by alleviating diaper need in the metropolitan community. So how do we do that? We collect funds. We are able to leverage that donation to purchase diapers at a steeply reduced amount of money. So we're able to take a $10 donation and buy $20 worth of diapers. Rudimentary math, but that's pretty much the equation. And we also, people can donate diapers to us, or if a family has leftover diapers, their child has grown out of a size, we will take a package of open diapers, repackage them, and get them into the community. So in 2021, and Scott, I know you probably have a question, quick thing. In 2021, HappyBottoms distributed 2.727 million diapers to 13,321 children.
Wow.
We grew by 15% during COVID, which is amazing.
Susan, you just have a murderer's row of a background in business. I would hate not to ask you the question, which I got to throw in a plug for Bank of Blue Valley and the Rainier family and the work that you did with Union Station. But I mean, we'd be crazy not to ask you how you go about developing relationships. I mean, you've met so many people, thousands over the course of time. I was going to throw out decades, but you get my point. I've been in this for decades. But I mean, how do you go about cultivating so many long-term relationships that the audience can learn from?
You know, I think the biggest thing is listening, having those conversations, asking questions, trying to figure out what a donor or a prospective donor might be interested in. And Scott, to be honest, sometimes that's not us. Sometimes a donor or a company has a different focus, and it's not, in my opinion, it isn't bad to say, well, it doesn't look like you fit here, but oh, I have a friend that's raising money or has this particular new interest. You might want to connect with them. I feel like I'm a connector, and I've always kind of felt that way. And so it is listening and then trying to figure out how do you marry the two together.
Yeah, so maybe it's people would feel comfortable sharing information with you because you're not trying to take advantage of the trust they place in you. And I know Henry and I are maybe the weird nerds that are like, what is that trucking company? And so what is the trucking company, and what did you learn from that transaction opportunity that you've taken into business yourself?
Scott, the name of the company is Belger Cartage Service. We were basically, the story goes, I never knew my grandfather. He passed away before I was born. The story goes from my grandmother that he found her kind of stash of cash and had a chance meeting with Joyce Hall, who said, I'm going to need somebody to move my cards and my paper around. And my grandfather actually had a motorcycle and a sidecar and was delivering magazines around the city and the community at the time. And he went out and bought a Dodge truck, a 1918 Dodge truck, which is still in the family. And we just grew from there. And my grandmother said that she never believed that the company would amount to anything. And, we had several hundred drivers and people that worked in our front office. And, my father was also very good about, we were never just we weren't put into a role. We started at the ground up. So I can tell you that I learned to drive a truck. I know how to drive a fork truck. I can drive a tractor trailer. I have been in a trash truck. My father believed that you had to be on the ground floor, understanding what the people go through in your company to be able to solve problems. And that has been such a valuable lesson all my life.
All right, I'm going to make a comment, then I'm going to toss it to Aaron. Do you know how to scare a millennial?
No.
Give them a stick shift and a paper map.
It is so true.
The Walsh family did the same thing. All the Walsh kids had to work within the warehouse per se. And I think that's really good. That makes for really good entrepreneurship, really good at giving back to the community, understanding. So that's awesome that your dad did that.
Aaron, for context, what company did they sell?
Silvana. Yeah. So, and now all three of our kids are really good entrepreneurs. So, hey, Susan, great to see you on today's show. Happy Bottom is such a great organization. I do have a quick question for you. So we have something in common. You said a lot of impressive things, but the thing that caught me the most was the president of the junior league, because that is no joke of a volunteer position. I was the marketing chair during COVID. So that on the board too. So I understand that. So you went to a nonprofit right before COVID, right?
Yes.
And yet still grew it. So I guess for you were kind of in this place where the people that you're helping were more affected than any other community during COVID. But also like all of a sudden, like, oh no, people at first during COVID weren't donating like they were. So kind of talk through your thought process just a little bit about that, like lockdown kind of 2020 year kind of.
Well, and I have to do a complete shout out to our executive director, founder, Jill Gaikowski. From the day we locked down, and at the time that we locked down, we were 7 full-time employees. So that was really crazy. But we also knew that our distribution, we work with 105 distribution partners in the city. So community partners like Catholic Charities, Salvation Army, True Light, Amethyst Place, just to name a few. But through the pandemic, we knew that we had to figure out a different way to get diapers into the hands of our clients. One, we didn't know if it lived on plastic or cardboard. We had a truck. We had ordered a full truck of diapers to be delivered to our warehouse on February the 17th. We had a call on the 16th telling us that truckload of diapers was being diverted to a big box store and was not going to be coming to us. So panic, I don't think panic really set in, but we were like, now what do we do? So we contacted a different distribution partner who said, we will guarantee to give you diapers, because there was also a diaper shortage, just like there was a toilet paper shortage. And this particular distribution partner agreed to package the diapers for us because we package them in bundles of 25 and give out 2 packages to each client a month. And that they would put our stickers on them because we shut down basically having the 3,000 volunteers that we have to have a year to get the diapers out the door. And then we saw an increase of people coming or people calling to say they needed us that we had never seen before because everybody had been laid off. We still had all of our current clients that needed us. And our distribution agencies were also abiding by the stay-at-home orders and closing their doors. So then we saw a decrease in numbers. How were we going to do that? So we quickly did a shift and we started partnering with harvesters. So every time harvesters went on a mass distribution, we would take our truck out as well. We knew if families needed food, they needed diapers. And so really that was kind of a pivotal point. We opened up the warehouse here at 79th and Warnell to do drive-through distributions where families could literally drive through, open their trunk. We would put diapers in the back of their cars. And then as COVID kind of let up, we had several volunteers that wanted to continue to actually address the need of families who had no transportation. So we had a set of probably 12 volunteers that would go put diapers in their car and drive and drop diapers at people's front doorsteps that needed us. I will tell you, it was not the most efficient way, but it served a need. We choose to partner with our distribution agencies because we know that families will go into a location to get diapers, and those agencies can then do the wraparound services that families need. If they need gas assistance, rent assistance, utilities, those kinds of things.
Well, you guys did amazing. So pretty impressive.
It about killed us, but we would do it all again if we had to.
But here you are saying, man, that was 2 years ago. How did that happen, right? Yeah. So good. Well, awesome. All right, look, Justin says, hello, everyone. He needs a drink today. All right, Justin, I'm right there with you. RaeAnn, who are you? What do you do? How do you get to Kansas City?
Yeah, hi, I'm Raeanne Lavalle, and I am the Chief People Officer at Homebase. And Homebase is a smart apartment technology company. So we put smart locks, lights, and thermostats and Wi-Fi in apartment buildings and other commercial buildings. And I got to Kansas City from Lawrence. I grew up in Lawrence, went to KU, got my psychology degree and my MBA at KU. And then by way of a few years in California, a few years in New York City, I'm back in Kansas City working with Blake Miller, who founded Homebase. And he actually, it's kind of fun because we're picking up, and what we say is we are building the future of living. So as the Belger family was, really an important part of history of Kansas City, Homebase and Blake Miller and our team is really dedicated to being an important part of the future of Kansas City. So we do have buildings nationwide, but really starting here in Kansas City with building not only smart buildings, but smart communities, because Blake Miller was part of the team that helped the Smart City Initiative with the Wi-Fi downtown and the streetcar. So really realizing that Smart City Initiative was important to him, but starting with buildings. So how can each building be kind of, he likes to say, a node on that network? So making each building smart, we can enable entire districts and communities to be smart. So one of the things that is funny to me is I've been all over, as I said, and I've probably had 20 plus jobs in my 30 years of working, from the time I started at 14 years of age at the Lawrence Dairy Queen on Massachusetts Street, to working at Squarespace in New York City, to working for a skincare company in LA. Just all of the experiences that I've had have really helped me come to this leadership position at Homebase and understand what it's like you were saying, Susan, to do every job and to know what it's like to be the person that's mopping the floors at the end of the night at Dairy Queen or installing a lock at Homebase, and what that means for the kind of company and culture and experience, work experience I want to create for our employees at Homebase. So my family's all here in Kansas City. I am very involved in the LGBT chamber. I'm involved in anything that can help Homebase and the community really give opportunity to diverse populations that maybe haven't had the same opportunities as other populations, especially here in Kansas City. So Homebase is doing a lot of work to open our doors to students and job seekers who might want to partake in our professional development opportunities. So anything that we're doing professional development wise for our employees, we're inviting students from local universities and colleges and even high school to come and see how do we do what is your smart technology, their online network by connecting with actual people who do the actual jobs you think you might want to do here in Kansas City. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Can you say that last
Yeah, for sure.
one more time, because your internet cut out?
Oh yeah, sure. So I was just saying that we like to open our doors so that students can come in and actually learn from, if someone's interested in doing project management, they can learn from a project manager. They can connect to a marketing director if it's a student who thinks they might want to do marketing. So we just really like to open our doors to students to come and connect with our employees.
So Raeanne, you do a lot of different things, but I'm curious what you think your superpower is. Like, what do you feel that you're really, really good at?
My superpower is distilling. I can take 5 different inputs, 10 different inputs, and distill it down to the core functional, like what is the problem we need to solve and what are the resources we have to solve it. And I can articulate that very efficiently compared to my peers. I would say that's my superpower. I would say my second superpower is seeing other people's superpowers. I think in my role, it's really important to understand what someone brings to the table. And it's very exciting. It's personally just thrilling for me to see an employee or a peer bring their superpower to the table as well. And for me to be able to tell them, hey, did you realize that this is your superpower? For instance, we have one employee and I said to him, do you know what you're doing with your eye contact? Because he has amazing eye contact. And I told him, I don't know if you realize it or not, but you should use it strategically because it's so good. And the way that you really like make and hold eye contact with people is a very effective way of connecting and influencing. So that's just one example.
Okay. So do you, in your position, do you do a lot of, or oversee a lot of the hiring?
Yes, all of it.
So I see you guys hire all the time, which is, I've been watching it because we're in a economy where everyone's saying they can't hire anybody. And you guys are hiring 20 people at a time, at least on social, you're showing your 20 hires at a time. So
yeah.
Why do you think you guys are having so much success where a lot of companies aren't?
Because we're exciting, because we're building the future of living. When people interview with me, when they have that first interview, they see that I am part of an organization where I get to have a voice, they get to have a voice. We're creating solutions that are going to impact people for 10, 20, 50 years to come. And that startup energy, you just cannot have, there's no substitute for startup energy. I think people talking to us and realizing that there is that huge opportunity to innovate, to create, to be part of a team that's doing something new and building something out of nothing. Like there's just, at least for me, I'm a sucker for that. So I guess we probably attract the people that are also excited by that opportunity.
Awesome.
I think everyone was like, man, I really want that eye contact superpower. Like, who is this person? Let's get him on the show. But I think there's a gentleman named Charlie Lowe that's probably a client of yours. Have you heard of him? He's a developer in the Crossroads.
Okay. I'm sure Blake knows him. I'm more internal.
He's doing a lot of work on Truce, but I love him because he's like, I don't really care about ever, like, let's just get the deal done. I mean, you seem like someone, you're like, hey, I get there's an ego over here. I get you want this, but you're able to boil it all together. And where does that come from to have that superpower?
I don't know. I just think everyone kind of has their own strengths, and that's mine. I don't know. I've always kind of been very curious have a lot of divergent creativity and divergent thinking and interests. And then, I love this analogy of incubating. You take in lots of inputs, and then 2 or 3 days later, your brain has just kind of incubated on all those inputs and comes up with some new and novel creative output. It just happens. I wish I would have known that in high school, because like you are learning in high school, you think you have to take an entire book and get ready for the test. And I wish I would have realized, like, if I just take it all in a little bit at a time and don't stress about it, 3 days later, it's all going to be there and my brain will put it together. So that's my public service announcement for all students.
I feel like if you're in high school now, like I have a 15-year-old and he's just like, oh no, there's an app for that. Oh no, there's an app for that.
True.
Right? Like it's a whole different experience.
Yeah, good point.
There's an app for everything. He's like, there's an algebra calculator. I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, all right, well, still stuck.
There's an app to unlock your door, and there's an app to get groceries delivered into your refrigerator. I know that.
Awesome. Okay, look, I thought you were going to talk about this Charlie over here, and you know not to talk to the comments till I pull them up, Scott. So good save. But Charlie over here says, first time tuning into Drinks with Leaders. Love hearing from great people making Casey great. Well, thank you, Charlie. We love having you. So keep every week at 3:00. All right, Henry, you've been patient. Who are you? What do you do? How do you get to Kansas City? And did you brand on your right-hand shoulder? I'm a marketing girl, right? Perfect branding.
You like that?
Did you plan that?
Position and all. Hey guys, my name's Henry Wyler. I actually grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, moved to Kansas City right before high school and attended Rockhurst High School. And then went on to attend University of Arkansas, where I played baseball there, and then ended up transferring to Rockhurst University to get my MBA. While at Rockhurst, met some great people, ended up landing an internship, which eventually turned into a job at a large commercial brokerage firm here in Kansas City, and then partnered with a gentleman by the name of Andrew Fisher, and most recently, right around late October, we started FWI, which is Fisher Weiler Industrial, and we do industrial brokerage, so helping companies buy, sell, or lease warehouse space around Kansas City.
So Henry, pop quiz, sorry for putting you on the spot, but where is Susan's former company located, and what are some unique advantages it has in the real estate world?
I've actually never heard of that trucking company. Are you referring to the trucking company?
Yes.
I've actually never heard of that one. We help out a lot of trucking companies relocate, expand, contract all around the city, but I've actually never heard of that one.
Well, and one quick thing, when we sold the company, we kept the commercial real estate end of our business. So we had 13 warehouses under 1.3 million square feet in the Paseo Industrial Park, just off of the Bond Bridge. That was done back in the day when Burlington Northern said, build the warehouses and we'll fill them.
Yeah, that's great. We do
You
a lot.
still own them today?
No, we sold to the Block Company in 2014.
That Block
deal
Company,
on the show. So when I met Henry's partner, I was talking about a company and they wanted to expand, and he said, well, they have that softball field behind them. I was like, really? So I told the company they had a softball field that they owned and they didn't even know it. Yeah, so that's kind of the level of detail that Henry and Andrew provide. Henry, where do you get your tenacity to compete? Obviously, you mentioned a little briefly on the baseball side, but you love to work hard and really deliver for your clients. If you had to really, sit on the couch and, really introspect, where does it come from? Where do you find that drive?
Especially now that we're out on our own, there is a huge drive since we're commission-based role. Like, we get to bring home whatever we make. So, it's like, if we're not out there knocking on doors or cold calling or meeting business owners, then there's not going to be any business coming in. So both Andrew and I played college sports. And so we're constantly battling, back and forth on, we make little, side bets on who can dig up a new deal today or, whatever, just constantly pushing one another. So that's kind of how we keep each other motivated.
How do you know when you're talking with someone, whether they're serious or whether they're just picking your brain to use information to benefit themselves? I mean, there's always a delicate dance in real estate of they're using you for your knowledge, or they really want to work with you. How do you figure that out?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we do get that, or we do run into that situation a handful of times where, I mean, you can tell who's serious when they're, either by visiting their current location. And, if they're saying, hey, we need a bigger warehouse because we're, expanding, can you give us pricing? Well, if you know that their current warehouse, they're not maximizing their space, then you can pretty easily tell that who's real and who's just kind of kicking tires. And same when someone's asking for a valuation of their building, we ask a series of questions to kind of probe around and make sure that we're not giving out free valuations.
Man, I must be an idiot because I'm not good at those things. I mean, to your ability to really understand that is just something that comes with time and just very impressive. So I don't want to ask all the questions because we were commenting on your hair and Aaron's hair before the show. So I'll let Aaron and the beautiful hair party do the next question.
First of all, I hate the saying picking your brain more than I hate anything in the world. My most viral LinkedIn post ever, I think it was close to 1 million views. Well, I said I'm now charging for picking my brain, and also don't ask it like that. And apparently a lot of other people hate it too. So I'm just going to request you never say that word again on the show. So.
Yep, I knew that. Shouldn't have done it.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, I work with all women. I know to listen and do what I'm told.
So Henry, just a little side note. I'm going to a new space and I'm friends with the guy, but I didn't really understand how the broker situation worked because I've always been in commercial space where I knew someone, right? And so can you just give a little, and the more I talk to people, especially smaller business owners that maybe are growing, they don't understand how the broker space works either, right? So can you just give a little bit of just a little, like, might seem common knowledge to you, but to businesses that are quickly growing, because there are quite a few in Kansas City, why it makes sense, because now I get it, now that I try to do it myself, to use a broker when you're looking for new space.
Definitely. So first of all of our commissions are paid by either the seller or the landlord. So if you are a buyer or tenant, it is a no-brainer to use a broker because we are a free resource to you because our fee is paid by the other party. And so we know where these deals are getting cut. We know how much free rent we can negotiate in a deal. Yes, the bigger the deal, the commissions can get large, but I can promise you that they outweigh the benefit of having a broker, and the deals that we can cut outweigh the commission dollars all day. So yeah, you represent a company. We tour you through the space, negotiate a proposal on behalf, of you, and say, hey, what's wrong with the building? What do we need changed? Do we want new carpet, new paint in the office, and all that stuff? Maybe not, not everyone knows about to negotiate. So little stuff like that can all add up, and ultimately we're going to be the ones that know where the deals are getting done.
Yeah, I think it's like common knowledge that they don't talk about in any business class I've ever been in, that you should use a broker, just because even the way that there's even things attorneys that don't always see the negotiation part. So, okay, you start spreading the word, okay?
I'm trying.
Perfect. All right, we're going to move on to our Burns and McDonnell question of the day. So I'm going to pull it up here. I'm really excited about this one. And then as soon as he's done, Susan, we will go to you.
Okay.
All right.
My name is Raheem Pre. I'm currently an electrical engineer here at Burns & McDonnell in our oil, gas, and chemical global practice. And my question for you all today is, what problems does your business solve?
All right, Susan, what problems?
So diapers are not covered by government safety net programs like SNAP, WIC, or Medicaid. And the cost of diapers has increased 18% over the last 2 years, eating up more than 10% of a family's income. So 1 in 3 families don't have enough diapers to keep their babies dry and healthy. So we are just, it's a social detriment that we're trying to solve. It's that triad: women of color, poor, and just the poverty level that is just increased so much during the pandemic. 30% of low-income mothers feel that diaper need is more stressful than not having enough food. So that is the crazier part. And we also have a potty training curriculum because we find that a lot of families try to potty train their kids way too early, and it never works. If you've had that opportunity to try to potty train a child, it has to be the right time. And so we really work to make sure that those things don't happen. We're decreasing stress in a family and hoping that we also stop that potential physical abuse that might happen as well.
So what is SNAP and what is WIC?
So SNAP is basically food stamps. WIC is a program that provides milk and formula for families as well. And neither one provide, the ability to buy diapers through those programs.
Scott, tell me you grew up in Blue Valley without telling me you grew up in Blue Valley.
Yeah, that'd be it. The unique thing is that we talk about multifamily and what RaeAnn does, and you talk about 60% of the country makes under a household income of $56,000 and what the cost of diapers are, and you can quickly add up the need for it. Did you know that before you got into working with HappyBottoms? Were you aware of all of that?
No, I knew diaper need. Our grandson is now 4.5, and oh my gosh, you don't remember how many diapers you use until you're actually there and the cost. My daughter-in-law and son said we got a pay raise when we had it Monty potty trained, which was great. Here's another statistic that should probably blow everybody's mind, and we are working to solve this problem. In the state of Missouri, diapers are taxed at the luxury tax level. So what you would pay in taxes for a diamond, you pay on diapers. Whoever would think that diapers are a luxury?
And at one point, Kansas was one of the most expensive states to do childcare in.
It is.
So yeah, it's crazy. I bought diapers for the first time when we came to HappyBottoms. I hadn't bought them for 8 years, and they have gone way up. It was insane. So if you have diapers, go donate them.
That's crazy. I wanted to have a gut reaction. This sounds really embarrassing. I want to flick off the camera. I know that sounds weird. That was my way of protesting. That's insane. I mean, you would think that's there's not strong lobbying arms for the manufacturers of it, because it's why don't you have a luxury tax on soda, but yet you have a luxury tax on diapers? That's
exactly
crazy.
We've become very good at advocacy this year, and we have brought in many of our state representatives and senators to tell our story. And we've actually created a state coalition of diaper banks. There are 4 other diaper banks in the state of Missouri, and we have banded together to change the law. In fact, this week, the House Senate should be voting on either reducing that tax to the lowest level possible or eliminating that tax altogether. But it's been a year of knocking on doors and telling our story.
Wow. Okay, so let me just ask you this question, and we're not usually in the policy world, but I'm passionate about making things go the right way. Does it help get passed? When if you call your local governor, local seated people, does it help if people call?
Absolutely, because here's what we were told, and I spent 2 days in Jeff City recently knocking on state representatives' doors and state senator doors. Somebody that really didn't understand diaper needs said, well, why do we need to reduce the cost of diapers? Because churches and pantries supply those diapers to all of the families in need. And my question back to them was, who do you think gives the diapers to churches and pantries to get them into the hands of families that need? It's the diaper banks. And it's just education. So yes, if you would pick up the phone and call a state representative, a state senator, and just say it's so important to eliminate sales tax on diapers, that would be huge.
Awesome.
How that even got done is, I mean, I'm just flabbergasted at you hear we're all really involved. That is a shocking stat.
Yes, it is.
All
Sorry,
happens
Raeann.
behind closed doors at all times. There's just the more you learn, the more you get mad, right? RaeAnn, what problem does your business solve?
Yeah, so our customers are the owners or managers of apartment buildings or mixed-use buildings. And so the problem that we solve for that customer is we allow them to increase revenues by not just raising rents, because you can only raise rents so much, obviously given economic factors and social factors if you're in a low income housing situation. So how do we allow those owners and managers to keep up with the pace of their business with their operating income? It's by giving them other things that they can sell. So what we do is we give them a Wi-Fi network that they can sell to their residents. So they can get an extra $30 to $75 per apartment by selling Wi-Fi, as opposed to trying to raise the rental rate that $30 to $75, which you obviously can't do and still compete. So our entire business model is focused on how do we create additional revenue generating features and services and resident experiences that the property manager and owner can then sell and increase their net operating income. So another way we're doing that is by bringing in-home services. So we've already partnered with Walmart for the Walmart in-home grocery delivery. We want to bring pet services, laundry services, house cleaning services, that those services would then integrate with Homebase so that you as a renter could allow them into your unit given specified time parameters and permissions. So we want to increase the convenient services that are available into the unit. And then additionally, we want to allow people to book spaces. So let's say you owned an apartment building, you had a gym or a kitchen or a space that all of your residents could rent. You could book that on the app and then pay that fee on the app to book that space. And eventually we'd love to move to entire districts or communities where, let's say your apartment building didn't have a gym, but the apartment building next door did. You'd be able to pay that next door apartment building to use their gym with our booking services. So the whole problem we're solving is to just enable them to make more net operating income without having to raise rent so that they're more competitive.
How do you go about bringing because you're buying in so much bulk, you can bring the Wi-Fi and broadband connectivity to the apartments, and then you're just doing a twist on it that's incorporating with everything that they need. How did that idea even incubate? Did you eventually get economies of scale to do that? Was that a pivot, or was that always the original intent?
So the way that it works is we build the infrastructure inside of the building. So let's say you owned that apartment building, we would put all the wiring in so that every apartment had its own private, secure network, which is highly important, especially given COVID. Everyone's working from home. So as opposed to some bulk Wi-Fi options which apartments have, where it's just Wi-Fi for the whole building, we went in and we did wiring so every unit has secure private networks. So it's just that network infrastructure that we put in. Then you as the building owner would go to AT&T or Spectrum or Google, and you would buy a commercial circuit to actually feed your building with internet. So we don't really deal with the ISP necessarily. We just create that infrastructure so that you can then parse out and sell those secure private networks to your residents.
Not trying to bring up the broker side, but have you thought about being the broker to those cable companies? Because isn't Congress liked better than cable companies? I mean, I would think it'd be one of those things you could save of these multifamily owners a lot of money by negotiating their deal with their cable provider.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of change going on in that industry. So definitely we're open to innovating. I mean, that's the entire name of the game for us, is how do we innovate with the technologies that are available in order to bring in those additional revenue opportunities.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Henry, thank you for being patient again. This is the best seat to be in where you're at, right? You get to hear everyone else's answers and think about yours. What problem does your business solve?
Yeah, so I mean, I think my partner and I say it all the time. I mean, if you can save people money or make people money, there's a good chance you're going to have future business with them. And so what we, look at is there's a lot more to making a real estate decision than just, oh, I like that building. Well, what's the truck court radius? How deep is the truck court? How tall are the drive-in doors? There, functionality is a big key to a lot of these buildings. And sometimes users don't always, maybe they like the aesthetics of it and that's what draws them to it. But we have to, come up with reason why this building works better than another one. For instance, we come up with ideas like, hey, let's put in another drive-in door on the backside of the warehouse so you can drive through the warehouse instead of having to reverse out, which causes safety issues and stuff like that. And so, whether that neighboring parcel is that owned by someone else, well, let's go buy that, and then we can make this building a drive-through building. So, I mean, there's just so much to it, so much more to it than oh, we like that building because it looks nice. It's functionality, it's labor. We look at heat maps all the time of labor pools and where employees are driving from and drive times, drayage costs. Where is your product going to? Highway access, stuff like that. So there's just, like I said, a lot more to a real estate decision than just the building itself. So,
what do you kind of see the future of Kansas City? We hear the last 3 years, there's just been record growth in industrial. I guess as an outsider, I don't see that slowing down. What are your thoughts on the growth of Kansas City and that industrial space?
Yeah, so I was just going to say I can only probably speak to the industrial market, but what we're seeing a lot of, Scott, is these outdoor storage type facilities. So anything with a yard to it, whether it's a gravel lot or a paved lot behind the building. For instance, last year we one of our larger deals was the sale of the former GM Leeds distribution plant over by the stadiums. It's a 1.5 million square foot facility that sits on 88 acres paved. And a lot of people looked at it as just junk because it's 50 plus years old. It was a closed down facility, abandoned. Well, Andrew and I went in there. We studied the rail access coming in from the south side of the property, coming onto the property, which is a whole nother conversation, how difficult it is to get rail to a property these days. And then we brought in a sophisticated buyer that understood the value of the infill site, and they're actually going to make money on demoing the building because steel prices are so high. So they're making money on demoing the building, and then they're going to have a pad-ready site for future development. So kind of deviated from your question there, but the future of industrial growth here in Kansas City I see is on this industrial outdoor storage type product with paved or gravel yards.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you were deciding on the new name for your company, how did you guys decide whose name got to go first?
Oh, that's a great question. I haven't been asked that. I don't really know. We were just spitballing.
Don't you feel bamboozled?
Yeah, I don't know. We were spitballing names for a month or so, and just nothing was sticking. And then finally, Andrew was like, "Let's just keep it really simple, like Fisher Weiler Industrial or Weiler Fisher Industrial." I'm like, "Well, FWI sounds good." I mean, it was truly no magic here.
There was no ego involved. It sounds like.
No.
Nice. Sometimes I think that could get complicated, like in law firms sometimes.
Oh, sure, I'm sure, yeah.
We do a lot of branding, and sometimes that's a very big conversation. So thank you. Sorry, I put you on the spot there. No, all right, we got to
the Henry's look on his face. He's like, "Yeah, how did that happen?"
Yeah, wait a second.
People always want a really good story with my company too. I'm like, I don't know, I just thought of it. So, okay, we got about 10 minutes. So I want to ask about 2022 goals, and everybody's got a couple minutes to answer, so we have time for our game. But Susan, going into we're halfway through 2022. But what were your goals, and how close are you to I guess nailing those goals for 2022?
So that's easy. We decided that we were going to focus and grow our core diaper program by providing deeper and broader programming and working more with our community collaborators to remove barriers to receive diaper assistance. So there are many foundations that were asking for lots of information, statistics that we had to provide in order to get funding. And if nothing else, the pandemic opened our eyes to, families would have to go one place, they'd have to fill out an application, they'd come to us, they had to fill out an application. And it got to the point where we were saying, why are we making, and especially women, because most of our clientele, while there are single dads and single grandparents that provide a lot of support to these babies that need them, but mostly moms, single moms, we were asking them to prove that they were poor. And so how horrible is that? They're already in a bad situation. So why were we asking them to prove that they were poor in order to get diapers? So we've pretty much eliminated a lot of our questions and barriers to get diapers. And really our goal was to take all of those families that would come to mass distributions, our drive-through distributions, and try to marry them to one of our partner distribution community collaborators to continue to get diapers. And so that's really our goal for 2022, is connecting those families to an actual agency so that they could get those other core resources that those community collaborators have.
I love that. It also kind of eliminates that weird spot where you are definitely not rich, but you are trying your best, but you're not poor enough to get any help. And
exactly.
So those people always, I feel the worst for, because they really, really can't get anything.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and what's to say if you can give somebody diapers, that helps them, that just gives them that much more money to be able to do something else. Maybe that is getting into an apartment that has Wi-Fi and things that they need, and they don't have to go to a laundromat because of what RaeAnn is doing. So, what great opportunities.
You guys are all three working so well together today on the show. I'm really impressed. All right, RaeAnn, goals, and how close are you hitting them so far?
Yeah, so 2022 for Homebase is all about scale. We are, with any startup, it's all about scale. So we are going to secure our Series A round of funding, which will enable us to continue growing, hiring more employees, getting more clients, and just really making the operation more and more efficient. So for me personally, as Chief People Officer, it's hiring more diverse and talented employees, and then making sure they have all the resources they need to work efficiently together so that we can serve those customers. But as a company, we're definitely in progress securing that Series A round so that we can really take what we've learned over the past 6 years and scale that nationwide.
Is that how old you guys are? 6 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Henry, how about you?
Yes. So FWI is a little younger than 6 years. We're 6 months. And so our goal is to finish out 2022 is to just make sure we get everything as automated as possible so we can focus on better serving our clients. Because right now, you're talking to head of marketing, head of HR, like it's a two-man shop. So we're trying to get everything, all the kinks ironed out so that we can just go and do our job to the best of our ability. So.
Well, listen, that first year, I look back and I think it's one of the most exciting years of my life, right?
Definitely. It is.
Not like it flies by because you're doing so much stuff. All right. So if you don't know the story, I bought Scott this game for Christmas. He still has never got his hands on it, so we play it here. Henry, were you a college baseball player? Is that what I caught up on?
I was, but my trivia is not that great. So
well, there was always just so many baseball.
You should have asked Erin to go to the game tonight and sit in those really fancy seats, but she probably has practice with her children.
We have theater, but I was also at college. I played a sport at KU, so we have that in common.
What'd you do?
That's not important.
She did rowing, and we tell a friend of ours, Joe Goldberg, shout out to his show, that we are sports analysts, even though we don't know anything about sports, just to give him a hard time. We're gunning for him.
We've got like NBA players on here and stuff. We don't usually know that they are, but until they're on here.
Rowing is no joke.
No, it's a great workout before these. So, all right, guys. So this is not as sporty as the rest of them. Okay, I tried to find a not sporty question once I saw our panel today. Not that you guys don't know sports, but I just didn't know if he was a baseball expert. I was trying to give us a fair shot. So we're gonna start with you, Susan. If you don't know, just guess. Audience, guess. You guys always get this. So, Susan, what 1996 Republican nominee for president of the United States played basketball, football, and ran track for the Kansas Jayhawks in the 1940s?
I would say Bob Dole.
All right. What's your guess, RaeAnn?
I have no idea.
Didn't you grow up in KU? But not in 1940, so that's fine.
Yeah, 1940.
I had never heard this before. I didn't know this. So no guess. Okay, Henry, what about you?
I've got nothing. I mean, that's the best question you could ask. I mean, that is like impossible.
Scott?
Is it a Jim Ryan or Jim Runyon?
Well, listen, does anybody have a guess in the audience? They've got about a 20-second delay, so we'll let them guess. But let me repeat it, and then I'll tell you guys. What 1996 Republican nominee for president of the United States played basketball, and I had no idea this, football, and ran track, triple threat for the Kansas Jayhawks in the 1940s? Susan, you are our winner. It was Bob Dole.
What?
I had no idea.
Wow.
Maybe if you would have ran on that platform, you know, like who knew? That's a lot of sports to be playing for one. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. You can connect with all of our panelists right here on LinkedIn. If you're watching from Facebook or YouTube, go check them out on LinkedIn. They are all tagged on LinkedIn. We totally appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you so much to Bank of Blue Valley. Thank you so much to Burns and McDonnell. We will be back here, same time, same place. Next week, we have Tyler Nautenberger, right? Scott, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Tyler Nautenberger, one of the top 10 largest companies in Kansas City, one of the top 5 oldest companies in Kansas City, one of the most philanthropic families in Kansas City, and also someone that teaches many of the CEOs in Kansas City how to take care of their associates and partners, not the word employees, but how to take care of people and do the right thing. And one of the great leaders of Kansas City. He's not that old. He's somewhat of a young person. So
what
very
company?
exciting.
You didn't see the company.
U.S. Engineering. I don't want to give away too much.
No, we're just getting people excited. I have some really exciting things to end with. Thanks to guests. Thanks, Joel. And last but not least, guys, Dan's face is now showing.
One quick thing. First time ever, Aaron, someone texted on this show that was a guest that has a very popular brand, maybe a Guy's Chips, and open up multiple restaurants, was trying to meet Dan. So that's the first time while in the show, people texted to meet each other because someone was commenting.
There's a lot of good business that happens. Thank you guys so much. We will see you same time, same place